Let's check out Dear Esther. This is a game I've been curious about for a very long time. I just haven't gotten to it. Oh, and you can also play with director's commentary. This is probably... This is kind of like the walking simulator that started off walking simulators.
The morning after I was washed ashore, salt in my ears, sand in my mouth, and the waves always at my ankles.
Okay. We're going to start this all over again. Forgive me. I just want to get this set up actually properly. So, exit to main menu, confirm. We want the volume up a bit on this, I think. I think we might want some, let's put on some closed captions. Hopefully the volume is better. Let's start this again.
Dear Esther, I sometimes feel as if I've given birth to this island. Somewhere between the longitude and latitude, a split opened up, and it beached remotely here. No matter how hard I correlate, it remains a singularity, an alpha point in my life that refuses all hypothesis. I return each time leaving fresh markers that I hope, in the full glare of my hopelessness, will have blossomed into fresh insight in the interim.
Hey Simon, hope you're doing well. Stream went very well so far. We beat Botanicula, a game I've always really wanted to play through. Ooh. And now we're checking out Dear Esther. Sheet music. So this was originally, I believe, a source mod. This one is now like I think a total remake, a Landmark Edition, I believe. Ooh, what is that? Is that like atomic bonds or something? Or like molecules? And so now walking simulators are a pretty standard genre. But at the time, they were actually kind of controversial when they came out. Like, a lot of people were like, these aren't games. Yeah, there was an Oxygen too. So this is very much a, like, soak up the... Oh, really? Ethyl alcohol. That's actually interesting insight. Thanks for sending that. I feel like that says a lot. Like, that does not seem like an accidental thing to write down. And the thing is that I think without games like this, I'm not sure there would have been certain other things to follow, because this kind of subgenre has spawned a ton of subversion since. Where I think this one is kind of one of the most pure, like... Oh, Coca-Cola. It spawned... This is like one of the most pure, like, just walk around, look at the environment, and then narration will occur. But there's some really great subversions, like the Stanley Parable is really wonderful. I'll definitely play that at some point. I'm sure that that game is probably, like, very overplayed because it's so good, but it's so funny. But I definitely will play that at some point.
There was once talk of a wind farm out here, away from the rage and the intolerance of the masses. The sea, they said, is too rough for the turbines to stand. They clearly never came here to experience the becalming for themselves. Personally, I would have supported it. Turbines would be a fitting contemporary refuge for a hermit. The revolution, and the permanence.
Also, obviously, games like Gone Home, which are a huge subversion. Although I would say Gone Home is more of a subversion of, like, think games like Amnesia and those, like, horror games at the time that were just absolutely huge and blew up people like PewDiePie and Markiplier and things like that. Gone Home is an interesting one. I would be interested in checking out Gone Home again. I played it when it came out. Ah! 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 I feel like that's a game that would play very differently now than when it was released. And I'm really curious to see how that game would feel nowadays. I don't want to... I think I shouldn't talk about Gone Home too much until I play it on stream. Just so people have a chance to experience what it is. But it's a really interesting kind of subversion on the genre. But I feel like it's a game that, in its own time, when it came out, I think was the only time to experience it as it was like 100% truly intended. And I'm still sure it still holds up, but it's probably a very different experience now that those ideas aren't so... The ideas of the time aren't so, like, uniform and everywhere. Ooh, what's this? Oh, that's the, like the Fibonacci sequence. This is the golden ratio. I've seen people that have, like, gardens. There's a musician that's, like, a really amazing musician named Miles Okazaki, who's a guitarist that does really crazy meter stuff and harmony stuff, to be honest. And he built a garden in his... Ooh. Wait, can you just drown?
Come back.
Ooh. That is unexpected. I thought there was going to be an invisible wall. But you can just literally walk into the water and drown. And I did get an achievement for that. Looked like it was like Gaelic or something. Or
I
Celtic.
have found the ship's manifest, crumpled and waterlogged under a stash of paint cans. It tells me that along with this present cargo, there was a large quantity of antacid yogurt bound for the European market. It must have washed out to sea. God knows there are no longer gulls or goats here to eat it.
I really like the visual tone. How it's just like really kind of washed out gray. I mean, it's actually not that just gray. Like there's clearly a lot of colors, but they're all... There's a certain feeling to it, for sure. Okay, let's not go... Oh! I don't want to drown again! Not again! Okay. Once is enough. Uh-oh. Okay. What have I done? What have I done? How the hell do I get out of here? Oh, gosh. Well, let's just let it bring us back.
Come back.
Okay. We're back. Let's go up those stairs now. It is interesting that this was like the original version, I believe, was a free source mod, right? Like, this is something that you could have just gotten if you owned like Half-Life 2 or whatever. You could have just gotten it for free, and yet it became such an iconic, kind of groundbreaking thing. It's interesting. Have any of you guys ever played the Stanley Parable out of curiosity? Because that is one that is worth... It's honestly worth you guys playing blind if you don't know anything about it.
The mount is clearly the focal point of this landscape. It almost appears so well placed as to be artificial. I find myself easily slipping into the delusional state of ascribing purpose, deliberate motive to everything here. Was this island formed during the moment of impact? When we were torn loose from our moorings and the seatbelts cut motorway lanes into our chests and shoulders, did it first break surface then?
I wonder what this looked like in the original version.
When someone had died or was dying, or was so ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice, they cut parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath. You could see them from the mainland or the fishing boats, and know to send aid or impose a cordon of protection, and wait a generation until whatever pestilence stalked the cliff paths died along with its hosts. My lines are just for this, to keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh.
Yeah, like, just like the way all the foliage blows in the wind looks so nice. I'm curious about the original for that.
I quote directly, a motley lot with little to recommend them. I have now spent 3 days in their company. That is, I fear, enough for any man not born amongst them. Despite their tedious inclination to quote scripture, they seem to me the most godforsaken of all the inhabitants of the Outer Isles. Indeed, in this case, the very gravity of that term, forsaken by God, seems to find its very apex. It appears to me that Donnelly, too, found those who wander this shoreline to be adrift from any chance of redemption. Did he include himself in that, I wonder?
There's so many paths I could have walked that I haven't. This is a lot more open than I expected, to be honest.
Dear Esther, I met Paul. I made my own little pilgrimage. My Damascus, a small semi-detached on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. We drank coffee in his kitchen and tried to connect to one another. Although he knew I hadn't come in search of an apology, reason, or retribution, he still spiraled in panic, thrown high and lucid by his own dented bonnet. Responsibility had made him old. Like us, he'd already passed beyond any conceivable boundary of life.
Here, let's walk along this path.
I dreamt I stood in the center of the sun, and the solar radiation cooked my heart from the inside. My teeth will curl, and my fingernails fall off into my pockets like loose change. If I could stomach, I'd eat, but all I seem capable of is salt water. Were the livestock still here, I could turn feral and gorge. I'm as emaciated as a body on a slab, opened up for a premature source of death. I've rowed to this island in a heart without a bottom, all the bacteria of my gut rising up to sing to me.
I'm honestly having such a hard time following. There's a chemistry book there. Does this connect to the other path we saw? Ooh, I like how the wind picks up. Oh, look where that is. We recognize down there. I can kind of see why my mom loved this so much, though. So it has a very, like... My mom was obsessed with Scotland. She had Scottish background, and, like, her favorite trip she ever took was to Scotland. And this has... very much has that kind of vibe to it. At least, I mean, I've never been to Scotland. It has the vibe that I have in my head of it. Well...
Dear Esther, I have now driven the stretch of the M5 between Exeter and Bristol over 21 times. But although I have all the reports and all the witnesses, and have cross-referenced them within a millimetre using my Ordnance Survey maps, I simply cannot find the location. You'd think there would be marks to serve as some evidence. It's somewhere between the turn-off for Sanford and the welcome brake services, but although I can always see it in my rear-view mirror, I have as yet been unable to pull ashore.
There's a bunch of places we didn't explore there. I wonder if we just missed out on, like, the cave and the lighthouse, or if it just has, like, branching paths that loop back. I'm really curious about some of those places. What are these? If we don't go back there, once we're done, I'll probably loop back at the beginning and see some stuff that I missed. The music is very moody. Whoa, what's that? Is that just like a buoy or something? Lots of shipwrecks.
There must be a hole in the bottom of the boat. How else could new hermits have arrived?
What is this? I have no clue what this means. This clearly is going to have lots of references to, like, maths and sciences. As there was, like, the Fibonacci sequence, there's chemistry stuff. So there's probably going to be a lot of stuff that just, like, goes over my head. Oh, is something written on there? And neither did he eat nor drink. I remember I watched a pretty terrible anime once, in which a dude lived on an apartment building in a shipping crate that was like decked out. And I always thought that was like, I don't know why, but I always thought it was like the coolest thing in my head. Like that one thing. The show itself was not very good at all. Chaos Head, I want to say it was called. Although the sequel I enjoyed. But I don't know why. I'm a very, like, what's the opposite of claustrophobic? I really, really like, you know, small places. I enjoy living in, like, a small place as long as all your needs are met. And there's privacy and stuff. I think I would find living in a mansion a nightmare, kind
I've
of.
begun to wonder if Donnelly's voyage here was as prosaic as it was presented. How disappointed not to have found the bones of the holy man. No wonder he hated the inhabitants so. To him, they must have seemed like barnacles mindlessly clinging to a mercy seat. Why cling so hard to the rock? Because it is the only thing that stops us from sliding into the ocean. Into oblivion.
Whoa, what's... Oh, okay, that's just the lighthouse, right? Is that even... That's not a lighthouse, is it? Looks like a radio tower or something. Yeah, I have a feeling if I lived in a mansion, I have a feeling I would just live in one room of that mansion. And the rest would just fall into disrepair. Honestly, one of the nicest things about this game is just the skybox. It's like so nice. Okay, have we explored this whole area? Do we just... Can we climb back up the area that we hopped down? Maybe we will get a chance to explore the cave and the lighthouse. And then again, maybe not. Doesn't look like we can. Ooh. Okay. Where to? Because the left path was a dead end, right? I don't think I saw a way up. The right path also looked like a dead end, but there's got to be a way one, you know, in one of the directions. That radio tower looks like it's a goal, though. I'm not sure I see any way into the boat. This game has nice, like, sounds as you approach different things. As you get closer, you can hear the water lapping up against the hull. Okay. What was that symbol that was showing us like a line cutting through something? I have zero clue what this means. Can we get through anyway? So I played some more Stigmatized Property last night. Just because, the one thing I learned about that game that was kind of weird was that even though it was a less than half an hour game, there were like, you could get 5 Steam trading card drops. So they kind of wanted you to play it for like 2.5 hours, even though it did not have 2.5 hours of content. So I had that game on last night just to, you know, get those card drops. Which, that game is also like a walking simulator. And I was kind of doing that. I was like grinding against objects and like trying to get out of bounds and like climbing up onto the TV and stuff. It was kind of silly. When I was doing that, I was almost like, oh, I kind of want to do a stream where I just play some of these games and try to break them for no real goal. Would probably be a really stupid idea. But,
I had kidney stones.
Oh, I didn't even
and
see
you
this.
visited me in the hospital. After the operation, when I was still half submerged in anesthetic, your outline and your speech both blurred. Now my stones have grown into an island and made their escape, and you have been rendered opaque by the car of a drunk.
I wish I could hear that last line again. Did it just say that she was hit by a drunk driver? That looks amazing. That looks really cool.
When I first looked into the shaft, I swear I felt the stones in my stomach shift in recognition.
Well, let's do it. Leroy!
Come back.
Okay, that's not the way to go. One of the weird things that I'm realizing as I'm playing this is probably a really terrible stream game. Ooh, music.
I've begun to climb, away from the sea and towards the center. It is a straight line to the summit, where the evening begins to coil around the aerial and squeeze the signals into early silence. The bothy squats against the mount to avoid the gaze of the aerial. I too will creep under the island like an animal and approach it from the northern shore.
The reason I say that, by the way, is nothing about the game, but it's more, when I play this game, I actually kind of want to be super quiet and just, like, take in the tone. You know, I feel like the last thing you want to do while playing this game is chat. Which is kind of the opposite of what you want to do for stream. But I think part of the thing with this game is it's not really so much a game as it is just like, you know, the reason why you play this at all really is for the tone, I think. Or, you know, tone and story or whatnot. It's largely soaking up the atmosphere. Because the one thing this game has just a ton of is atmosphere. I wish I could, like, look at this stone from far away and see what the patterns look like.
The bothy was constructed originally in the early 1700s. By then, shepherding had formalized into a career. The first habitual shepherd was a man called Jakobsen, from a lineage of migratory Scandinavians. He was not considered a man of breeding by the mainlanders. He came here every summer whilst building the bothy, hoping eventually that becoming a man of property would secure him a wife and a lineage. Donnelly records that it did not work. He caught some disease from his malcontented goats and died 2 years after completing it. There was no one to carve white lines into the cliff for him either.
What is that?
Three cormorants seen at dusk. They did not land. His house built of stone, built by a long-dead shepherd. Contents: my camp bed, a stove, a table, chairs, my clothes, my books. The caves that score out the belly of this island, leaving it famished. My limbs and belly famished. This skin, these organs, this failing eyesight. When the battery runs out in my torch, I will descend into the caves and follow only the phosphorescence home.
Am I supposed to be like an actual currently living human that is just secluded on this island? Was that actually a path that goes down? Oof. Okay, let's go back up. Let's go back up. I thought I was just walking off a cliff. I like how the moment I'm like, oh, you're supposed to go down there. I was like, let's not do it. But when I was sure it was a mistake, I was like, let's go for it. Where's that radio tower? What in the world is this? This game seems like a game that would be very difficult to make, breaking proof. Seems like such a game that I'd like want to try to get out using geometry. Well, the fact that you can't jump is big for not breaking. Look at that. I love how different areas, like on the cliff faces near the shore, etc., get way windier. Just the audio. The audio of this game is really strong.
Jakobsen's ribcage, they told Donnelly, was deformed. The result of some birth defect, or perhaps a traumatic injury as a child. Brittle and overblown it was, and desperately light. Perhaps it was this that finally did for him, unable to contain the shattering of his heart. In half-light, his skeleton a discarded prop, a false and calcified seabird.
They found Jakobsen in early spring. The thaw had only just come. Even though he'd been dead nearly 7 months, his body had been frozen right down to the nerves and had not even begun to decompose. All around him, small flowers were reaching for the weak sun. The goats had adjusted happily to life without a shepherd and were grazing freely about the valley. Donnelly reports they hurled the body in fear and disgust down the shaft, but I cannot corroborate this story.
Man, I wonder how long it took to actually, like, build this huge environment and decorate it with all these little touches. It also seems like such a weird spot for stairs. I wonder if this was like largely modeled off of real photos, because it just seems so well designed, like a real place. What do you mean? Huh? What do you mean, Necrodia? I had a feeling. I had a feeling. Ooh, more boat wreckage. I didn't even realize that until right now.
Climbing down to the caves, I slipped and fell and have injured my leg. I think the femur is broken. It is clearly infected. The skin has turned a bright, tight pink, and the pain is crashing in on waves, winter tides against my shoreline, drowning out the ache of my stones. I struggled back to the bothy to rest, but it has become clear that there is only one way this is likely to end. The medical supplies I looted from the trawler have suddenly found their purpose. They will keep me lucid for my final ascent.
Okay, I think it's safe to say that we're likely not just the living narrator. What's over here? What is that? Ooh, excuse me. That would suck to lose your luggage down there. The game Outward. That sounds really familiar. I'm pretty sure I own it, but I know nothing about it. I can't place it. I can't visualize it. I think I can visualize the title screen though. I mean the like the Steam logo, which is why I think I own it. Outward. Here, let me just check if I own it right now. I do own it. Is that like an RPG? Like a an isometric RPG? Oh, for some reason I thought it was. Okay. What is this place?
From here, this last time, I have understood there is no turning back. The torch is failing along with my resolve. And hear the singing of the sea creatures from the passages above me, and they are promising the return of the gulls.
Hello, Necrodia. Hello. This is such like a melancholy tone game. But dang, this is pretty. Jeez. I mean, I can assure you, I can assume that the person who designed Dear Esther could probably get hired for any level design job they wanted. At least for, like, environmental art. Ooh. Ooh, there's multiple paths.
I first saw him sat by the side of the road. I was waiting for you to be cut out of the wreckage. The car looked like it had been dropped from a great height. The guts of the engine spilled over the tarmac, like water underground.
Excuse me. Ooh, CD North is now playing Terraria. The other day, my nephew said, you should stream Terraria. Oh my gosh. What is this? Is this like a circuit diagram? I have no clue what this is. Oh my gosh. I mean, to be totally honest, this cave is surprisingly light. This cave should be like almost pitch black. It's interesting how we like perceive this so differently. Like, I don't find this spooky at all. I just find this like really, just really beautiful. But in general, I would find caves very scary. Ooh. So are these supposed to be like luminescent fungus or something, or moss, or what happens if we don't ascend? I guess we're just fine down here. I'm not hearing the ticking. Hey! How's it going, Scully? Yeah, we're doing some Dear Esther, which I've never played. We just beat Botanicula. The slowest game to ever exist. Yeah, it's... I was actually just saying, I feel like this is a really bad choice for a stream game in a certain way. Because playing this game, you really just want to be quiet and soak it up. And not really just talk a bunch. And I'm like, that is terrible for idea for stream. But it has so much atmosphere. Have you played the... Did you play the original version or the Landmark edition? So I'm curious as to how different they are. Yeah, because this is a remake. I'm not sure how different this is design-wise. It seems, from what I've heard in like the Steam reviews, some people were like, this didn't need to be remade, but this game is great. Yeah, I wonder if this is on the Source engine or if this is completely separate engine. Oh my gosh.
If the caves are my guts, this must be the place where the stones are first formed. The bacteria phosphoresce and rise, singing through the tunnels. Everything here is bound by the rise and fall, like a tide. Perhaps the whole island is actually underwater.
That's a way up right there. This is really beautiful, though. Like, just the design of every location looks so nice. Yeah, I agree. I was actually saying that when I started. Like, I remember when this game came out, it was actually really controversial. Which is odd because it was free. But I really think there's a lot of games that wouldn't exist without this. Yeah, this game seems a lot more pure walking simulator, quote unquote, than I'm used to. Often when things say walking simulator, they have other gameplay elements to them. Like, they have some puzzle elements. They have another aspect to it than just walking through the narrative, whereas this one seems very pure in that regard. Okay, we can't go over there. So I guess we have to do our ascent. It's also, speaking of pacing in this game, like, how long it took this game before they put in music, right? Like, for a long time, it was all environmental sounds. And then it took quite some time before the music actually entered the game. Okay, we need to get out of here. Ugh, we're walking against the current. Come on. Come on. We can do it. We can do it. Okay, maybe we can't. Maybe we can't right here. Okay, there we go. So that's the path, right? The path up? Let's see, can we cross right here? I'm definitely curious about a couple of the areas we skipped right at the beginning. Scully, did you ever play Gone Home, out of curiosity? Oh my god.
This cannot be the shaft they threw the goats into. It cannot be the landfill where the parts of your life that would not burn ended up. It cannot be the chimney that delivered you to the skies. It cannot be the place where you rained back down again to fertilize the soil and make small flowers in the rocks.
Behold, Damascus taken. Oh, what did he say? Did he say this place was his Damascus or something? At the beginning? Oh, like, some of this stuff is written backwards. That's Damascus taken again. Damascus is taken. Away from being a city. And it shall be... Does this say a ruinous heap? I mean, there is one game that is slower than this one. And that game is Desert Bus. Oh my gosh. For my 1 year, should I do a Desert Bus stream? That would be the worst idea ever. Ah, no! Interesting. I was not picturing this. So is this like the accident? Where she was killed by a drunk driver? Could you imagine if you had a game like Skyrim, but the caves look like this? One day, once the AIs replace us, that will happen. Wait, does this bring me back to the cave at the start, or is this a totally different location? I think this is a totally different one.
I wish I could have known Donnelly in this place. We would have had so much to debate. Did he paint these stones or did I? Who left the pots in the hut by the jetty? Who formed the museum under the sea? Who fell silently to his death into the frozen waters? Who erected this godforsaken aerial in the first place? Did this whole island rise to the surface of my stomach, forcing the gulls to take flight?
I actually want to go back. Ooh. Let me go up this way. Ah! So close. There we go. So that all is like luminescent paint. The music feels so nice here.
I returned home with a pocket full of stolen ash. Half of it fell out of my coat and vanished into the car's upholstery. But the rest I carefully stowed away in a box I kept in a drawer by the side of my bed. It was never intended as a meaningful act, but over the years it became a kind of talisman. I'd sit still, quite still for hours, just holding the diminishing powder in my palm and noting its smoothness. In time, we will all be worn down into granules, washed into the sea and dispersed.
Well, that was a creepy sound. What is this? What are these sounds? Oh, there's the radio tower. We're going to work our way up to that now. We're going to find a path that loops and crawls all the way around.
Hall by the roadside, by the exit for Damascus, all ticking and cooled, all feathers and remorse, all of these signals routed like traffic through the circuit diagrams of our guts, those badly written boats torn bottomless in the swells, washing us forever ashore.
What does this say? A light from heaven shone around... around him. A light from heaven shone around him.
From here, I can see my armada. I collected all the letters I'd ever meant to send to you, if I'd have ever made it to the mainland, but had instead collected at the bottom of my rucksack, and I spread them out along the lost beach. Then I took each and every one, and I folded them into boats. I folded you into the creases, and then, as the sun was setting, I set the fleet to sail. Shattered into 21 pieces, I consigned you to the Atlantic, and I sat here until I'd watched all of you sink.
These all have actual writing on them that you can read. It'd be really interesting to see. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to go through it and look at them all and try to try to make sense of them. But I bet you someone has, like, taken the models and written down all the writing. Okay, is that the path that loops around? On a sudden, a light from heaven shone around him, and he fell to the ground. Just got the achievement Man on the Rocks. What is that? Walk 5,000 steps. Okay. Let's go see that radio tower. Assuming that's what it is.
A sound of torn metal, teeth running over the edge of the rocks, a moon that casts a signal. As I lay pinned beside you, the ticking of the cooling engine, and the calling from a great height, all my mind as a bypass.
So they were both in the car accident?
I've begun my voyage in a paper boat without a bottom. I will fly to the moon in it. I've been folded along a crease in time, a weakness in the sheet of life. Now you've settled on the opposite side of the paper to me. I can see your traces in the ink that soaks through the fiber, the pulped vegetation. When we become waterlogged and the cage disintegrates, we will intermingle. When this paper aeroplane leaves the cliff edge and carves parallel vapor trails in the dark, we will come together.
And as he was proceeding on his journey, and as he... Wait. And has come near to Damascus. Wow, the tone is sure changing.
If only Donnelly had experienced this, he would have realized he was his own shoreline, as am I. Just as I am becoming this island, so he became his syphilis, retreating into the burning synapses, the stones, the infection.
Wait, he was 3 days without sight. And neither did he eat nor drink. Look how much darker this is getting all of a sudden. This game is actually tonally a fair bit different than I expected. It's more kind of surreal than I thought it was going to be.
There are headlights reflected in these retinas. Too long in the tunnels of my island without a bottom. The sea creatures have risen to the surface, but the gulls are not here to carry them back to their nests. I've become fixed, open and staring, an eye turned on itself. I've become an infected leg whose tracking lines form a perfect map of the junctions of the M5. I will take the exit at mid-thigh and plummet to my Esther.
So were a lot of those drawings we saw maps where the accident happened? Oh, obviously now we know why there was the ethyl alcohol. Oh. That makes sense. And it came to pass that as I made my journey... That's an interesting touch. And was... I don't want to fall off this cliff. Huh. It's tough to read this. And was some... nigh unto Damascus? At noon, suddenly the shone from heaven a great light round about me. And could not see.
Blind with panic, deaf with the roar of the caged traffic, heart stopped on the road to Damascus. Paul sat at the roadside, hunched up like a gull, like a bloody gull. As useless and as doomed as a syphilitic cartographer, a dying goat herd, an infected leg, a kidney stone, blocking the traffic bound for Sanford and Exeter. He was not drunk, Esther. He was not drunk at all. All his roads and his tunnels and his paths led inevitably to this moment of impact. This is not a recorded natural condition. He should not be sat there with his chemicals and his circuit diagrams. He should not be sat there at all.
And could not face the glory, that light being led by the hand of men, the hand of them. That were with me. Came into Damascus.
I am the Ariel. In my passing, I will send news to each and every star. Dear Esther, I have burnt my belongings, my books, this death certificate. Mine will be written all across this island. Who was Jakobsen? Who remembers him? Donnelly has written of him, but who was Donnelly? Who remembers him? I have painted, carved, hewn, scored into this space all that I could draw from him. There will be another to these shores to remember me. I will rise from the ocean like an island without bottom, come together like a stone, become an Ariel, a beacon that they will not forget you. We've always been drawn here. One day the gulls will return and nest in our bones and our history. I will look to my left and see Esther Donnelly flying beside me. I will look to my right and see Paul Jakobsen flying beside me. They will leave white lines carved into the air to reach the mainland, where help will be sent.
We could see the shadow of a bird as we fell down, or flew down. Hmm. In the very end, it flew out over the Armada. That was an interesting one for sure.
Come back.
For the Chinese room. I honestly didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to expect at all. The Chinese room, they also made another thing, right? What is it called? It's like the entertainer or something. Hmm. That was a lot different than I expected. It was a lot less literal than I expected. I do want to check out a couple things really quickly in this game. Well, I mean, I don't know if anything is really quickly in this game, but we're going to check things as quickly as we physically can in this game once we've seen the credits. Thanks for joining me for that, Goats. I'm also curious about the original Dear Esther, too. I want to see how similar that is at some point. I probably won't stream that. I'm curious. I feel like I don't think I could... Oh, this one is Unity. I think the original was... Yes, based on the 2007 mod by the Chinese room. So did Amnesia come out before this? I'm curious. I think Amnesia might predate this, but I'm not sure. Definitely games like, I bet you, what's it called? There were some other games, I think, by the same company that made Amnesia that predated it. Was Penumbra
Esther,
by the same company?
the gulls do not land here anymore. I've noticed that this year they seem to shun the place. Maybe it's the depletion of the fishing stock driving them away. Perhaps it's me. When he first landed here, Donnelly wrote that the herds were sickly and their shepherds the lowest of the miserable classes that populate these Hebridean islands. 300 years later, even they have departed.
Okay, I want to see the other... There was like another area we hadn't been. I don't know if we can get to the lighthouse. Wait, the lighthouse is right there. Whoa, was the lighthouse where we literally started? Can we enter the lighthouse? I don't think so. The two areas I was curious about were the lighthouse and the cave. So I want to see what the cave is. Those ghostly sounds are so odd. Can we ascend the lighthouse? It looks like it is barred off. Yeah, we can't go up that way. Okay, let's check out that cave that we never saw. You know what? While we're at it, let's do something. Let's just see what this commentary is like.
Hello everyone, I'm Dan Pinchbeck, I'm the creative director of The Chinese Room, and this is the Dear Esther developers commentary.
Hi, I'm Robert Briscoe, I'm the artist on Dear Esther.
And I'm Jessica Curry, and I was the composer on the game.
So what you're looking at today is a remake of a mod. Dear Esther started off in 2007 as a Half-Life 2 mod that did really, really well in the modding community, which was fantastic. And as a result of that, attracted the attention of Rob, who worked as the primary developer on a Source remake of the game that was released in 2012. And this year is another remake where it's been updated for a cross-platform release. And we wanted to add in this developer's commentary just to give you a bit more of an insight into some of the ideas behind the game as it came together.
Never been in here either. Oh, and that's the other cave I saw. I wonder if we get to hear this guy's, Does the commentary replace the narration completely? That's not something we want. Okay, I apologize. I apologize. Okay, I want to hear what he says about that cave.
Dear Esther,
Oops.
the morning after I was washed ashore, salt in my ears, sand in my mouth, and the waves always at my ankles, I felt as though everything had conspired to this one last shipwreck. I remembered nothing but water, stones in my belly and my shoes, threatening to drag me under to where only the most listless of creatures swim.
Okay. Yes, as I said, it won't be super fast. It will be as fast as we can do it. The developer commentary is something I might do on my own time sometime, though. Potentially. I'm really into stuff like that.
Donnelly reported the legend of the hermit, a holy man who sought solitude in its most pure form. Allegedly, he rode here from the mainland in a boat without a bottom, so all the creatures of the sea could rise at night to converse with him. How disappointed he must have been with their chatter. Perhaps now, when all that haunts the ocean is the rubbish dumped from the tankers, he'd find more peace. They say he threw his arms wide in a valley on the south side, and the cliff opened up to provide him shelter. They say he died of fever 116 years later. The shepherds left gifts for him at the mouth of the cave, but Donnelly records they never claimed to have seen him. I have visited the cave and I have left my gifts, but like them, I appear to be an unworthy subject of his solitude.
Okay. Let's try to beeline it for that cave. It's so funny saying things like beeline it in this game. Let's crawl our way to that cave.
There was once talk of a wind farm out here, away from the rage and the intolerance of the masses. The sea, they said, is too rough for the turbines to stand. They clearly never came here to experience the becalming for themselves. Personally, I would have supported it. Turbines would be a fitting contemporary refuge for a hermit. The revolution and the permanence.
I didn't remember there being music this early in the game. I don't know why. I thought it like kicked in later.
A wonderful sight. The moon cresting the junction between the cliff path and the stone circle. It cast a shadow of the ridge across the beach, all the world as if you had signed your name in untidy handwriting.
We're getting there.
When someone had died or was dying, or was so ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice, they cut parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath. You could see them from the mainland or the fishing boats, and know to send aid or impose a cordon of protection, and wait a generation until whatever pestilence stalked the cliff paths died along with its hosts. My lines are just for this, to keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh.
Okay, we're almost there. We're getting close. This is my problem in games. I have too much of the completionist streak. I need to know. Or else it will just be that thing in the game.
We are not like
when I
Lot's
think of it.
wife, you and I. We feel no particular need to turn back. There's nothing to be seen if we did. No tired old man parting the cliffs with his arms. No gifts or Bibles laid out on the sand for the taking. No tides turning or the shrieking gulls overhead. The bones of the hermit are no longer laid out for the taking. I have stolen them away to the guts of this island, where the passages all run to black, and where we can light each other's faces by their strange luminescence.
Okay. Okay. There it is.
Dear Esther, I met Paul. I made my own little pilgrimage. My Damascus, a small semi-detached on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. We drank coffee in his kitchen and tried to connect to one another. Although he knew I hadn't come in search of an apology, reason or retribution, he still spiraled in panic, thrown high and lucid by his own dented bonnet. Responsibility had made him old. Like us, he'd already passed beyond any conceivable boundary of life. I would leave you presents outside your retreat in this interim space between cliff and beach. I would leave you loaves and fishes, but the fish stocks have been depleted and I've run out of bread. I would row you back to your homeland in a bottomless boat, but I fear we would both be driven mad by the chatter of the sea creatures.
I got an achievement the second I stepped in here. I think that's it for this area. I wonder what the other achievements we haven't gotten are. We've gotten 8 out of 10. What are the ones we're missing? Listen to the director's commentary and uncover all urns. We found 1 of 4 urns. And director's commentary, not even close. Okay. Okay. Well, you know what? I feel like that is the place to call it. So thanks for joining me. The first game I thought Botanicula was freaking awesome. I love the music in that game. Yeah, just an absolutely amazing soundtrack. And Dear Esther, I'm really happy I experienced it. I think that maybe that one would have better suit, you know, experiencing it alone. But it's been on the list of one I wanted to play. So it's nice to have that done, you know. I hope you guys have a great evening. Thanks for hanging out. I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to play some Final Fantasy 3. I kind of grinded all the beginner jobs on that game. So hopefully, I think that we'll see that tomorrow is pretty smooth sailing on that game for a bit, at least. Okay. Have a great evening, guys. Take care. Mwah.